Good morning, ladies. My name is Chaz, and welcome to the What If Blade Man was in My Hero Academia. This is the rebooted one. If none of you who have seen the first one, go check it out. So, in this What If, because Toga likes stabby stuff, so, or the idea is that give her the brother that she does truly care, and so does her mother too. So, sorry. The so Toga in this What If is not like super crazy. She's just like that, but more like calmer. So when they were born, yeah, their mother, her was basically was that girl or that woman. So yeah, she ends up like truly does care about him and less about anyone else. So when they reaches the age of 4, that's what and they got their quirk checked. He got blades or infinity blades as his power, but the blood healer is his quirk. It's completely useless. So, yeah. So, they're like, blood healer. Yeah. He uses his, because blood healer removes all side effects of a quirk by just simply dumping the blood into a person. So, yeah. So Toga uses her blood thing, her blood side effect, as she ends up is like that all the time. So, yeah. Then when they were hitting age of like 4 or 15, they were playing a lot more. And when they were walking home, two strangers, hers, popped out of nowhere, and Toga's like, can we help you? Yeah, they give me all of your valuables. As one of them had a gun quirk, so he used it on it pointed right to Toga. As, well, as he shoots Toga, but ends up, like, Blade, he uses his hardening blade part of his to shield Toga and took a hit for her. As, yeah, it went right past his neck, because there was a giant hole, or no, into his neck. Oh yeah. So yeah, she, as the one of his blades, yeah, he used it to injure both of them. As it was his windpipe, so as he, or Toga pulls out her phone and calls Ulf, as, yeah, and then that told, or actually one of the goons told her that some, or her had injured, as she ran to the hospital to check on him. So as he, or his, when she got there, she saw the giant hole in his side of his neck. As, yeah, like someone just bit into it. As that's what one of the guys says. As Toga says, not bit, shot. At, because someone ambushed us by and he had a gun quirk. As she couldn't believe that Toga, or she asked Toga, okay, who did it? And she took a picture of him before. She shows it to her as her goons were standing outside, or out there, or one of them came in. So yeah, as, yeah, so he heals his, as there's no way to his side. So, but there is one thing, as because he's half conscious, because how much pain he's in, he uses his blade to cut his arm and like slurp his own blood. As the side grew back, like And, or actually, he didn't do that, but Toga just remembered that he has a blood healing quirk. Or she thinks in her head of, that's too risky. As she walks out of the room, she's trying to think. As one of her, or actually, she, like, he regained his voice. As she says, I'm here, her, don't worry. I'm here for you. As he uses his arm, or one of his fingers, to as Toga, or actually got talked to by one of her goons, or so yeah, one of her goons says, "Okay, what's wrong?" As she says, "Well, if he drinks his own blood, would it heal, or would it like restore his side?" That's what I'm thinking about. As yeah, so he did use it. As yeah, then his side healed up, and the he was in recovery for quite a long, or until like UA. So he goes to UA. As yeah, so he became class 1A student for, and yeah, because they see he, so Toga applied to UA just to watch her brother, to make sure he doesn't like be a bull in a china shop and get himself killed. So yeah, but his infinity quirk actually in this what if, or infinity blade, doesn't allow a person to actually die. So yeah, so the next, or like, I'm skipping the ball throw and the quirk assessment test and the versus villains, because who's being the villains? Of course, my character and Toga. As he tells Toga that this is just practice, no actually killing, okay? Alright, big brother. But I'm not here for that. I'm make sure that you don't, like, get killed on sight thing. So, yeah. And so that's why in this what if, she cares more about him than anyone else. So, the his body can heal fast with his blood quirk. So, yeah. Then at USJ, I forgot to add before this what if. Forgot to add the Nomu, but that's okay. Right back. So, oh, sorry, I couldn't find the Nomu that I was talking about, so I found Shirakis. And, or, yeah. So, when they arrived at the USJ, and, yeah. So, there is some ships in it, and that ship will be between my Blade Man with Momo Irozu. Yeah. So, just to be on the safe side. So, yeah. So Momo was a little bit like try to put on a brave face, but she's embarrassed. Time she looks at him, because her quirk is creation, and he has infinity like blades. So, yeah. So, yeah, and plus, she's more worried about getting cutted by his little sister, Toga. So, but they get in a, or not, they weren't talking about that, but, so, at the USJ, he was like, huh. As 13 told, or was explaining, but they get interrupted and all that stuff. But he used his blades as he says, can we evacuate the area? As 13 says, that's a good idea. Huh. You must be the smartest one. As, yeah. So he basically cut a hole through, or because there's the automatic doors, like, closed. As he says, huh. Slice, slice. As he's slicing the way out. As Mr. Aizawa was fighting for his thing, as he told 13, can I get Mr. Aizawa? Don't worry, I'll come right back. Okay, I promised. As 13 says, alright. So he goes and takes a hit from a Nomu. Oh. Or like he uses his hardening power. So, yeah. He says, I'm only here for you, Mr. Aizawa. But this thing is not human, so you know what that means? It gets killed off. As he decapitates, or like, it went right down, or stabbed its brain. As he uses his hands to pick up Mr. Aizawa, puts him on his shoulders, and ran at supersonic speeds. He jumps. He lands and he made it out. As he got shot in the back of a leg. As he uses his blade to grab Mr. Aizawa. Yeah. To put him in the there. So, yeah. He basically tried to go toe to toe, or he went shot in the leg, like both times, as all the villains were jumping onto him, like they were, as he is, or like, okay, so we got Mr. Aizawa 13 and all those students. Good. Wait, where's Chaz? Where's my brother? As Momo and everybody else points in, as he uses his final gift. Because those people, like, tore him up. But dumb luck, he uses his power to actually gain insight. So yeah, it's gruesome. So, as the blood part of him, as they couldn't believe how gruesome it was, as because the villains were just the low tier villains. But sure enough, dumb luck, it was his clone that got the most beatings. As, yeah. So, as he like, he was behind the bushes, and then heavily, or he was actually on top of a building. As he still felt pain from that getting shot in the back of the legs. So he says, that was my final trick. Let's lay here for a while. As, yeah. As once he got that hamstring chest thing, as he still had a phone number for, or yeah, or actually to his mother, as he calls her and like, yeah, well, then you pick me up. As she says, sure, sweetie, where are you at? Well, I'm on the top of a building. Almost near the USJ. As he, like, passes out. As his mother is worried. So she's, of course, a couple of her goons went instead. So, and they saw him get shot behind the legs, like, and stabbed through the entire chest. As he, or they picked him up and, like, as he, like, does that, he's still breathing. So they carry him to the hospital. So there, he got healed from his injuries. As, yeah, one of the goons told her, and she immediately ran to the hospital, like, to see him. As she says, who did this to you? Villains at USJ is, but I don't really know them much. But I do know the hand over his face was one behind it all. They were, as I think his name was Shrakison, with the warp guy, a guy called Kirigiri. That's as he's focused on his pain. So yeah. So his mother says, don't worry, get some rest. As, yeah. So she calls Toga. And Toga was sobbing up a storm, so but when she heard that Chenman's still alive, and that brought joy. Where is he now? He's in the hospital thing. But Toga, do you remember any villains? Well, some of them have gun quirks and some of them have like really weird forms. Huh. As or actually during class, because no one wants to hang around with Toga when she's sad. So, but then she, of course, they all were sad because he treated them so kindly. But then when Toga got that, or they're like, "Why are you so happy?" As she tells them, that Chenman or my brother's still alive. As, yeah. So, when Momo heard that, she couldn't believe that he's still alive. As they know how gruesome it was. But he still survived that. As that's at the UA, yeah? But at the hospital, the his self was so her goons, one of her goons, or actually she asked him, "How did you survive?" Sure gets a. It's a good thing having the blade or infinity blade. You couldn't slip right out of any herd areas. And he says, "I used my power to escape from it." As, yeah. So he was in the hospital for 1 week. So her goons came in to, or actually, like, guard at the door. So she came in every chance that she could get and visits. As he's regenerating his, like, his back legs. But he is strong as any one. So he's like, "Oh, that." As they could see his chest got pierced. But so, and her other goons went and, like, tried to find whoever it was. All those villains that were in USJ incident. and just straight up like smashing them. So yeah. Plus Toga does the same thing. So as Nezu's or 13 told Nezu that he went in to grab Mr. Aizawa, that was it. And or as 13 he was walked in before, and he or as 13 says, or actually Blade Man, and says, how is Mr. Aizawa doing? Good, thanks to you. Well, how are you feeling? Getting those? I might, or I'll live. As he was, or 13 saw how gruesome it was, and as 13 told him as that, how did you survive? Well, before that last moment thing, I used my final escape trick called Body Switcher, or because I used it to like switch like places with the doll version of me, or mannequin dolls versions. So 13 says, oh, I see. The old, like, switcheroo thing. Yeah. Yeah. So, as 13 was, like, talking to him, and, of course, Mr. Aizawa walks in and says, huh, what's up, kiddo? And how are you feeling? Huh. Well, could be better if I didn't get that. And like someone's and like uses their gun cork on my legs, and oh crud. Oh, as he's like, uh, huh. Well, I can't. Or thinking is who survived that. As he explains that I kept my promise to 13 to bring you back, or bring you to, or get you out of there. As Mr. Aizawa knows that it wasn't his fault. It wasn't Blade Man's fault. Well, so he was not crippled, by the way, if none of you are asking. So, yeah. So the next week, so he starts training his body with his sister. As, yeah, he got out of school, or no, he got out of the hospital bed, or like, as his heart thing, like, went, like, grabbed and smashed. So he made a metal heart. Basically, like a sword that turns into a heart thing. Yeah. And it got put into him. And yeah. And like his, because it was liquefied version of it. So yeah, he trains harder. Toga has, don't overdo it, brother. I won't. As he like does that attacks on like rocks so that he doesn't want to hurt Toga either. So yeah. As yeah. So that's why he did a lot. Then I'm skipping the sports festival. And of course Toga, or not Toga, Momo decides to, like, at the USJ, or no, at UA, she finally conjured up a nerve to pull him off to the side and just straight up told him. So yeah. So she did. And tell him that. As because she's seen what his powers can do. So, yeah. His, or Momo, oh, was being a big girl, and actually her, because after the USJ, or they talk about him a lot. Like him being like so hammy and like so like all that stuff. But he, of course, he or or Momo's parents and Momo have agreed that to for her to get dating to Blade Man. So yeah. So he ends up, of course, she finally says that to him, and he says, sure. Eh? As, yeah. So they've been dating, visiting with each other's. As his, of course, he told her that one of the classmates I think her name was, or like, he says, I think her name is Momo Irozu, was asking me out. As she's not surprised because when she like met her husband, like all that stuff, and she says, "Huh, well, she has some interest in you." So yeah, then that after the sports festival, well, they all got into their citizens outfit thing, and yeah, he, or of course, Momo and him were getting like ice cream and doing all those things. So yeah, then the camp, because I'm skipping the internships, so Camp Park, right? Blade Master uses, or actually, Blademan. So he gets captured by Mr. Compressed, and like he was the only one that got kidnapped, and like doing all that stuff. So yeah, then the U.S. or no, All Might versus All for One, and goes like almost similar, but when All Might got knocked out, but not dead, Blade Man had to step in and use his his blades as he he got his, or because his mother got like the when she was younger, she was like reckless child, kind of like what her, or actually, hold on, no, Blade Man's just like his sister, crazy but more reckless. As he takes All Might away before, and he says, "Huh, take this," as he creates a bunch of blades to shoot right at him. As yeah. So, but his blades in helicopter. So he actually turned All for One into nothing. Like basically like chopped him up all the way to nothing left of him. So he says, "Huh." As he says, "Huh. Well, need to take a shower." As All Might in he sees how much gore that was on top of all. It's basically covered him in head to toe. So he does like goes to shower because he... Because... So... Yeah. Then I'm skipping the dodgeball thing and or actually skipping the overhaul fight. So, yeah. So then, because everyone knows that he has, like, a power and a quirk. So, yeah. So then, of course, Momo didn't know that he has a quirk and a power. So he actually fused it into his own body of that blood thing, so it's permanently bounded to him. So yeah, every time she gets like poisoned by a like snake bite thing, he just makes a blood thing, and she starts drinking it, and it doesn't like cause any side effects to the person drinking it. So yeah, but then now into the future, Momo got married, and she already met her and Toga. So yeah. So then they ended up like having a kid that has the same powers as Momo and Blade Man. And his powers. So yeah. Then all that stuff. So yeah. Mr. Racerhead actually Midnight asked him and like they immediately got married afterwards. Because during all that time, they were dating a long time. So yeah. So this is the end of the video, and have a good night or day. Please leave a like, share, subscribe. Peace.